This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
The sound of praise for your Sunday morning.
The only one who could ever teach me.
Introducing Reverend A.R. Bernard of the Christian Cultural Center.
Was the son of a preacher man.
And Rabbi Joseph Peteznic of Religion on the Line.
The only one who could ever teach me.
Now, here's the Rev and the Rabbi, where faith matters.
Good morning, I'm Rabbi Joseph Peteznic.
And I'm Reverend A.R. Bernard.
And Rev, who better to talk about this election than the 55th governor of the state of New York, the Honorable David A. Paterson, who, by the way, has appeared on ABC. This is the fourth or fifth?
This is the 4th out of 5 shows I will do today.
He is a walking filibuster. Walking filibuster.
Well, that means he started, since this show starts at 7 a.m., that means he started his shows at, what, midnight?
Yeah. But you know what? You said before, Reb, it shows that everyone wants to hear what he has to say.
Absolutely.
Right? They want his
His voice
insight.
is in demand.
All right. So, Governor, let me understand something. I've been through a number of elections. So have you. So has the Rev. This one, to some extent, was predicated on hate.
Yes.
We heard people, Jews, AIPAC, referred to as monsters by the mayor. We've heard people who candidates and were victorious celebrating Hamas, talking against Zionism. And what it also showed is if you're anti-Israel in certain places, that's a plus in winning an election. Governor, what do you think?
Well, I think it was particularly in the 13th congressional district where that woman whose last name is what? She has like 3 last names? Chevalier. Not to be, confused with the great Chevalier. But she won that election, and this is noteworthy. She won the election with 32,000 votes. 32,000 votes. Every congressional district has to have 700,000 people.
Right.
So they need 32,000 votes is 5% of 700,000 people, meaning that she only got 5% of the people who live in the district. Now, she got enough to win. I'm not saying she got 5% of the total vote, but she got that 5%. In my opinion, if the people who were asleep wake up in the next 2 years and they really find out what she's about, and she already said this is the beginning of the end of Western civilization. I want to ask her what comes after the end of Western civilization. It must be something better than her.
So wait a minute, gentlemen. All right, let's just the facts, ma'am. Sergeant Friday here.
That's before my time.
Look,
I recall
so here's the question.
My dad talked about it.
Here's the question. Who voted for these candidates that were supported by Mamdani, and why did they vote for him? So let's start with the who, because it's not monolithic. From everything that I've read, there are several categories of people who made up that group that voted.
Well,
so, Governor, let's begin. Who were these voters?
I would start with an angry group of people who just feel that their lives are not fulfilled, and this is a way to take it out on somebody, and you take it out on a candidate in a political race. Then I would add to that some people who have policy differences, but they've allowed their policy differences to be one policy. In other words, if it's not the way they totally want it to be, they vote for someone else. Now, then the question is, why? I think what you're alluding to, Reverend, is why? What is Mamdani saying that's getting people to live that way?
Wait. Yeah, but before we go there,
Okay.
because let's break down this. Let's do an analysis here.
If I could add
So
something.
you got dissatisfied voters, right?
Yeah.
You got progressive Democrats who are dissatisfied with the party establishment, right? You've got many activists who are focusing on, what he's running on: affordability, housing, healthcare, labor rights, what else? Climate policy, and that inflames our good rabbi here, the Gaza-related issues. These were college-educated urban voters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but remember something. Dan Goldman was a critic of the Gaza policy.
Mm-hmm.
What's happened is that Jews are being attacked verbally, in some places physically, because they're Jews. You can have. I don't see Iranians being attacked because of what the Iranian government is doing to its own people. But if you're a Jew, whether you support or don't support the policy in the Middle East, you're a target. And I think what we have to focus on as well is the Jew hatred. Some of these people are voting because they just have contempt for the Jewish people.
So what's happened between the younger voters? Because these are younger voters. These are particularly millennials and Gen Zs that are voting here. What problem do these? Now we get into the why.
Yeah,
what problem do these younger voters have with
maybe
Jews or Israel?
Maybe, Reverend, we should start with the educational system. Are we teaching young people to think critically and to accept people for who they are and try to help people who are in dire need? Or are we fomenting a lot of language that they hear on their own, coming from people older than them? And then they wind up, when things don't go that well for them, they wind up joining the hate crowd.
So can I add something to this?
He hit a very important point here, Rabbi. Go ahead.
But
continue.
Years ago, someone said people who are on Social Security, who are concerned about Social Security, they came out to vote. Now, the people who are on social media, those are the ones who come out to vote in numbers. So therefore, these are the people who are getting all of their information, not from primary sources, but from, as we said, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it is. And as the governor just mentioned, they're uneducated. They don't know the whole story. But what bothers me is you can disagree with policies of different countries. You can disagree as an American with American policies. Does that translate into a hatred? There's something more here. Why do they hate Jews? Because they disagree with a policy. Does every Jew think the same? Are we all homogeneous? I mean, Jews are not monolithic. That doesn't come as a shock. So,
all right, but the Iran war, what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in Israel, what's happening with the Jewish people, and of course, yes, anti-Semitism is up. But our good governor here hit on some very important points. He's suggesting that they're being swept up in the emotion with by a suspension of critical thinking. They're not looking for the facts. They're being swept by the crowd who is appealing to them emotionally. And you know how anger is. I mean, we have elected officials who are in power right now because they tapped in to the fears, the anxieties, the anger, the hatred. We're experiencing that throughout the American political system.
We're going to have
So
to take
here
a
we
break,
are,
Rev.
New York City.
Elias
we gotta
Raff,
go.
our very capable producer, is signaling, and I won't tell you how he's signaling to me, but he's telling me we got to take a break, so we'll be back.
Okay. All right. Stay tuned for more of the Rev and the Rabbi right here on Red Apple Radio Networks.
Reverend A.R. Bernard, Rabbi Joseph Peteznic, where faith matters. The Rev and the Rabbi.
This episode is brought to you by Google Health. Stop chasing someone else's definition of health. What matters is what's healthy for you. Google Health offers a new kind of coach built with Gemini for effortless tracking, sleep insights, and holistic coaching tailored to you. Visit googlestore.com to learn more and start a new relationship with your health. Requires Google account, Google Health app, internet, and Google Health Premium subscription. Features subject to change. Availability and results vary. Not intended for medical purposes. Works independently of Gemini apps. Check responses for accuracy.
I wrote a little song to remind you. Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Bring a date, your squad, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Where faith matters. The Rev and the Rabbi.
Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Joseph Peteznic.
And I'm Reverend A.R. Bernard.
We are with the former great governor of the state of New York. He's still great, but he was the 55th governor of the state who was given 20 minutes to prepare for that position. Am I right, Governor?
Yeah, about a half hour.
So let's pick up where we left off. Suspension of critical thinking, being swept by the crowd. I don't know what the psychological terms are for this, but essentially people are like, oh, are you part of this? Oh, yeah, part of this group. And we just go. And we don't think about it.
And promises, we're going to get you the affordability factor. We're going to solve that. We're going to, stop all of the war. Everything is being promised to them, and there is no, in-depth thinking. So they believe it. If you don't have,
but isn't that what politicians do?
You don't have the real facts. If you don't know the history, you'll believe any. Look, Hitler was able to come in and say it was the Jews. Listen, the reason we're in this situation, unemployment is so high, the Jews,
and that's what's being said now.
Yep.
Yeah. You blame, but look, isn't that the fact? Isn't it true that rents are high? Isn't it true that there's a housing shortage?
Yeah, but we didn't do it.
Childcare costs, isn't it true? Healthcare expenses, economic insecurity. Yeah. All of that is true, and politicians play on what is true, saying that they're going to deliver, they're going to solve it all.
But not only say they're going to deliver, they need scapegoats. And your people and my people, we know very well what it is to be a scapegoat and to be blamed for the maladies of society.
Yeah.
And by the way, many of these young people have gone to college, right? So
I said they were college educated millennials and Gen Zs. Yeah.
Graduate school,
college,
students.
And of course, many of these programs, have been. There are foreign countries who have invested monies in many of the programs in Middle East studies. This is what we're turning out today, and these young people are going to be leaders of tomorrow.
President say two of these individuals were incumbents of Congress, and they were defeated by Mamdani-backed challenges.
Yeah,
I think there were actually three
signaling.
Of them.
3? Okay.
I think he was 3 for 3.
Yeah. Was it 3?
Yeah.
Oh, it was 3 for 3. So is it anti-establishment sentiment? I mean, come on, I'm a baby boomer, so, I go back to the 60s, and we were Anti-disestablishmentarianism. We brought that word into the dictionary. Are we seeing the cycle come around again, gentlemen?
What is that Dan Goldman did that was so wrong, according to these voters, that he supported Israel, right? He said Israel has a right to exist, ran against a person, Brad Lander, who always began his sentences with "as a Jew," and then slammed the Jewish people. Why was Dan Goldman not acceptable? What did he do wrong? He took some money to run from AIPAC. Was that what it was, or some PAC that was related to AIPAC? That was his sin.
There shouldn't have been anything that he did wrong other than the fact that he wanted to run for office.
Yeah.
And just, on site, they see him in this place and then deny him the cup of coffee. Then they want to balance it by giving him his money back. It's horrible. I mean, last week, if I had told the two of you this happened, for a minute, I think you wouldn't even have believed me.
Yeah, well, I would have said what you said. We're back to, civil rights, discrimination. It is unacceptable.
But if he symbolizes the establishment, and this movement is anti-establishment, it. It's about bringing in something new. All right, it doesn't matter. He does. What matters is what he represents to them, and if he represents the establishment to them, he's got to go, even if he's doing and saying the right thing.
So let me ask you this: Governor mentioned earlier the low turnout. The small percentage, was it 5%? I think the whole turnout was 17%. Why aren't the people to whom all of this should matter? Why aren't they going to vote? To me,
come on.
Now, voting to me is a religious responsibility. I think it's I think we who
it's interesting you say that, Rabbi. I'm sorry for interrupting, but this flashed into my mind. When I go in a polling precinct, and anyone who'd like to write the station and suggested I be under the care of a psychiatrist. But when I would go into a polling precinct, I saw it as rarefied air. Like, I was happy that I was getting a chance to vote.
Yeah.
I was a year too young when the voting age was moved to 21. So I had to wait another year. And I would, as I saw it, it was really something that you should take very seriously. You should make sure you want to, push the lever for the person you push the lever for. And when I came out, I felt kind of just euphoric, like this was a good thing. It doesn't matter who I voted for or even who wins. But we have this in our society where other societies don't.
I felt I was walking in my parents' footsteps. You must have felt the same thing.
Yes, that's what that.
Yeah,
that
you
was
felt something special. But look, how do we explain? The New York Post article asked it. How does just 17%, right? 17% of voters, make this kind of outcome? And we have to ask some of the hard questions. They had a great machine. Look, you got to admit, he's got a ground game.
And
he had an incredible machine going.
And the old machine doesn't work anymore.
No,
Remember, the Democratic
doesn't.
Party used to get people out there, the unions. It doesn't work anymore. You got to blow it up and start again.
The times, they are a-changing. And if we don't change with the times, this is what we're going to see happen. That's the reality, gentlemen. He had an incredible ground game. He had a machine.
Yeah.
And he put that machine to work, and here we go again.
So how does one get away with calling Jews monsters? How is that acceptable?
It's never acceptable,
right? But you can get away with it. Well, there wasn't a groundswell of, condemnation. There are many who didn't say anything. And I just, look, Sid Rosenberg, I was in Israel recently, and he said he had to apologize. He made some unflattering comments. He called the mayor a cockroach or whatever. And he apologized for it. He said, I rescind my apology.
Rabbi, he didn't have to. He chose to. And that says a lot. That says a lot.
Here you have, we're being called, monsters, and there's no apology in place. If anything, he doubled down. He said it once, and then he said it again.
Who was this?
The mayor.
He used the term monsters.
Yeah.
for
he
Jewish
did. He
people
did.
and
Who
Jewish
supported it,
organizations.
Well,
AIPAC.
he used it for AIPAC,
and by extension, those who
AIPAC, of
support
course,
AIPAC.
exactly associated with
Got it.
Jews, and AIPAC supports Israel, supports the Jewish people, supports what's going on.
And- And there are
that's it.
4,600 PACs in America.
Come on, that's right. That's the number 4,600, and that's not including super PACs.
Right.
That's just PACs.
Right.
Super PACs or
There's only one bill, but AIPAC
So
is
here's the question.
Let's demonize AIPAC. All the others,
So
4,500.
So, Governor,
999.
here's the question, Governor. We hear the setting of the stage for potential party takeover, Democratic Party takeover by the DSA. Is this more politically driven, or is it as personal as we are talking?
I think it's politically driven in the sense that a lot of people who saw the results from the last primary, even though not that many people voted in the primary, people are getting interested. And the fact that they're getting interested and they're organizing, all that is fine. What I'm angry about is that when they organize against an entity, they have some reason to dislodge the public's thinking about their enemy from what other people usually think. There's no reason to start making up these names for whole groups of people. It makes me just not even know what to think.
Yeah. No,
we got to take a break, Rev, but we're going to have him join us.
Another break? That was only 3 minutes. Okay.
So
we'll be back with
we're
more.
going to keep the governor, and then we're going to be joined by someone who had a resounding victory, the controller of the state of New York.
So there you go. If someone won, we got to ask, why did he win? Okay. We'll be back with more of the Rev and the Rabbi right here on Red Apple Radio Networks.
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
Struggling with weight loss? Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet is a clinically developed nutrition program designed to promote fat loss while protecting lean body mass. Developed at USC's Longevity Institute, it assists the body in entering a fasting-like state that helps reset metabolism and target visceral fat. In just 5 days, Prolon offers a science-backed approach to weight loss without extreme restriction or guesswork. Get 20% off plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/now.
Want to elevate your travel experience? Here's how. With a Delta SkyMiles Reserve American Express card, you can relax before your flight in the Delta Sky Club with up to 15 visits per medallion year. And now through July 15th, 2026, you can earn up to 125,000 bonus miles, so you're closer to your next adventure. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve card. Check out the new design at www.delta.com/Spotify. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply.
The 2-week pay period, invented in 1938 and still making us wait until daily pay, where everyone can access their money on demand. This is the future of pay. Learn more at dailypay.com. Transfer fee may apply.
Reverend A.R. Bernard, Rabbi Joseph Peteznic, the Rev and the Rabbi.
Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Joseph Peteznic.
And I'm Reverend A.R. Bernard.
And now, not only do we have the governor, who's doing his 5th program of the day, but we're joined by a very victorious controller of the state of New York, Thomas P. DiNapoli, who was a rout. He clearly won. And Tom, we're all happy for you. And we had you on before the election, but great. But it was not an easy election because you encountered. I said before, we've been through elections, but there was a hatred that permeated this whole election process. You faced
nastier than usual. I've been through this many times, but this certainly was a different environment. It's always, it's strange. You kind of expect it, when you're up against the other side, but when it's coming from your own side, it's a whole different level of unpleasantness. Let's put it that way.
Tom, was this people walking up to you on the street and saying things? Is that what it was?
Yeah, a little bit of that. What was more disheartening going back, I guess, a number of months, people crashing events, not just political events, non-political events, to protest, unfortunately, often on Israel, disrupting meetings, just a level of personalized anger, that I'm certainly not been familiar with over the years. Disagreements, absolutely, that's par for the course, right, Gov? You and I both faced that over the years, but disagreement should be in some kind of a civil forum or civil dialogue. When it's like yelling and screaming and disrupting, someone else's event. And I'm even talking about my own events. It's something that I was speaking at. So folks would be planted in the audience, and the others have experienced this, not just me. It's like a coordinated disruptive effort. And I think those that are doing that, whether it's on, some of them do it on the climate issue, some of them do it on issues related to Israel, they think they're advancing their cause. I think just the opposite. I think the audience of innocent bystanders, if I can call it that, they're there to attend a meeting, to hear, a conversation or a presentation. It's disruptive to them. It's just, look, hey, we all know we're going through a difficult time. The politics is polarized. The divisions are deep, and the frustration is real at a lot of levels. We all have our own frustrations, with the way things are going. But the way that it's being expressed has been, I think, very destructive to the kind of political process that brings us to a better place, right? Which is what politics should be about, instead of feels like we're going backwards.
Rev, I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I'm going to ask a question, the big question here. But you won, Tom DiNapoli. Why did you win and the others lose? What was it about you, your campaign? What was it?
You had the backing of the Rev and the Rabbi.
Well,
and myself.
And the governor.
No, I have to say, Governor Patterson from the beginning was a tremendous supporter, besides being a good friend. You know what? Reverend Bernard, I don't have a complete answer to that. We've been trying to dissect it, because the narrative, that's come out of, the post-primary analysis is that establishment types were on the ropes and being thrown out.
Exactly.
Folks that have a positive view on the relationship with Israel, no good. You go down the list. On paper, we shouldn't. It's not a question of winning. We won in the lands. We carried every county in the state for my campaign. Even in the counties, particularly Brooklyn and Queens, where you saw, and Upper Manhattan, where you saw some of these, extraordinary turn of events. So we won anyway. I wish I had an answer. I'd like to think part of it is that the Comptroller's Office, certainly how I've tried to maintain it, but I think how the Comptroller's Office has always been, the purpose of it is to be above the fray of those partisan issues. Now, as you know, my opponents tried very hard to bring it down to that level, to be an extension of those. Right. And I wouldn't. I had my positions, but I wasn't going to engage in the vitriol. Yeah. I am who I am. I have a record for a long time. I'm not changing who I am. And so I tried very hard, as I always do, to keep the office above the fray. And I tried to keep the campaign above the pettiness that others were trying to bring down. That being said, it was hard to avoid that. And obviously, in some neighborhoods, we did lose. We didn't carry every single neighborhood. But when it was all added up, we carried every borough in the city. We carried every county outside the city. And we got well over 60% of the vote. So it's counter to the narrative. And that's probably why there aren't too many articles that are asking that question, Rev, and giving the analysis, because it doesn't fit with the narrative that's out there right now.
Exactly right, which makes us question whether it's overthrowing the establishment or certain individuals that they have deemed represent the establishment, because you, in their minds, don't. And why? There are a lot of questions around this that I would ask.
And Rev, Richie Torres won, and he won resoundingly, right? Pro-Israel.
Yeah.
Tom DiNapoli, pro-Israel. So it doesn't coincide with the narrative some people like to present. I was very heartened when I spoke to Tom the other day, shortly after he won. You know what his opening sentence was? I'm happy I was raised by my parents the way I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he didn't compromise on his core values. He stayed with him. He was steadfast. Richie Torres didn't compromise. And I don't know why, they didn't experience some of the, the hatred, real hatred. Maybe they did on some level, but I always thought that people looked at the two of you as very special, that you were dedicated, but so were some of the others. So I don't have an answer either, but we're thankful that you won.
Yeah. No, I think it's so important in life, not just in public life and politics. You got to know who you are, right? And if you try to if you just try to follow whatever the popular moment is, you're gonna get caught up. You're gonna get tangled in your own web. And certainly, I mean, as the years have gone by, I have no regrets about choosing to be in public life. I don't think there were too many issues that I've ever changed my point of view on, but I've always just tried to be very direct and forthright. And if it doesn't work, right, if people don't want it, okay, fine. I was fully prepared for this not to work out, right? I mean, I was hoping it was going to work out, but had it not, I had a great run, and I certainly accomplished a lot of what I wanted to. But because I think it is such a challenging time, that's why I said I do want to serve in this position again. Although most people don't fully appreciate what the controller does or say, why would anybody want to be the controller? It is such an important and fundamental job to the operations of state government, and I work with a dedicated group of professionals. That's why I really, in that debate we did, I took great exception to their criticizing the work of the office to the point that you can take pot shots at me as the candidate and the elected official, but they went too far. They were really criticizing the work of the 3,000 dedicated men and women who do the job every day, and I took umbrage with that. Right. But I love working with these folks. That's why I wanted to be in the position again.
Well, Tom, in that debate, they went too far the minute they showed up.
And one was a plagiarist. He used the opening sentence was "as a Jew." Another one who does that kind of pandering, right? I remember watching the debate. Oh no, here we go again.
So wait, are we going to put on our prophetic hats and answer the bigger questions, the big political questions here? Is this just a temporary surge of progressive activism, primarily in urban districts, as a matter of fact, or is it a realignment of the Democratic Party, gentlemen?
Well, I think first of all, I would. It's always tough with the labels, right? Because I would argue that there's been a progressive strain in New York politics, which frankly I identify with, and I'd like to think I've been a part of for a long time.
I do too.
Yeah, I mean, I think what this is some of it's generational, but it's a step beyond what progressive usually has meant to be. And it's a much more, I don't know, is militant the right word? It's a much more strident positioning. I don't know that it's a permanent. Look, let me say this at the risk of maybe being a bit too controversial.
You got nothing to lose now, Tom. You won. Say whatever you want.
This is the Rev And The Rabbi show.
The November election. Donald Trump upended and changed the Republican Party as we knew it. Right? My parents' Republican Party is not the Republican Party. It's a MAGA party. The reaction to Donald Trump has upended the Democratic Party as we have known it. The
Brilliant statement, Tom.
the frustration that so many people feel right now. It's being expressed now. Well, we can't get Trump or the Congress yet, or the Supreme Court yet, but we could sure send a message by sticking it to some of our fellow Democrats, which to me is crazy thinking, because that's how the Republicans, speaking in a partisan way, win, is when Democrats are divided, right? And that's my fear.
Yeah.
So I think it's a permanent shift. I think this is the Trump phase that will probably be with us for a couple of more years, but I don't know that it's permanent.
I heard someone say we can have a big tent. Are there limits to having a big? At what point is it too big that you're allowing people to come in who totally contradict your core values? All right, we come back. We'll give you 60 seconds.
We're going to
think
have
about
answers.
That great question.
We're going to have answers for that question right here on the Rev and the Rabbi. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Reverend A.R. Bernard, Rabbi Joseph Peteznic, the Rev and the Rabbi.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Pay's checkout is offered by your banks and credit unions. So when you shop online at participating merchants, your cards appear in one place, ready to use and kept up to date. And the best part, your actual card number isn't shared when you check out, because boundaries are healthy, like no work emails after 6. One small step for boundaries, one big leap for checkout. Pay's, it checks out. Activation required. See Pays.com to learn more. Terms and conditions apply.
And we're live on match day as Doug reaches for a buffalo wing. He's got it! Oh, and he's gone for a can of Pepsi too! What a finish! There's no doubt about it. It just tastes better. Match days deserve Pepsi.
On the Cancer Signal podcast presented by Grail, hear the real-life stories behind multi-cancer early detection. Listen to the Cancer Signal wherever you get your podcasts.
Where faith matters. The Rev and the Rabbi.
Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Joseph Peteznic.
And I'm Reverend A.R. Bernard.
And we are joined by Governor David A. Paterson, Controller of New York, following a resounding victory. And by the way, the governor's had many resounding victories in his political career. Thomas P. DiNapoli. And the question again, Tom, is at what point in a big tent do you say it's time to rein it in a bit?
It's a tough question to answer because, the political process is an open one. The Democratic Party is an open one. And, I think that's one of the questions. If folks say, not first I'm a Democrat, but say I'm a Democratic Socialist, should they have a Socialist Party? In New York, and years ago there was a Socialist Party, right? And in New York we have the Working Families Party, which arguably for years played the role of being a little more to the left on issues. They tend to coalesce by November, with the Democrats. But one of the questions is, what's the relevance of the Working Families Party at this point as well? But the reality is people can freely. I'll be curious to see what the governor thinks, but people can join the Democratic Party or not join a political party. It's hard to say you can't be in the party, and I think the Democrats have always tried, to be a big tent. Sure if you asked, Ed Cox and the Republicans, he'd say they've always tried to be a big tent.
But you repudiate those who say things that are extremely disrespectful or distasteful. When people indulge in maligning Jews, for example, people have to stand up and say something. In big tent, especially if you include people in that big tent, you have a special responsibility.
In historical context, Martin Luther King put a number of people out of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He put them out because they were getting ahead of him and were becoming more antagonistic. People thought Martin Luther King was antagonistic because he asked for equal rights. but there were people in his tent that were basically moving in a different direction, and they became the kind of black power folks back then.
Tom, Governor, I'm looking at Elias Raff. He's a young guy, very talented producer. I don't know if Elias would ever consider running for public office. Right? He's shaking his head no. I asked my son, no. Why should talented young people seek public office given what you've endured? Governor, Tom?
Well, look, I'll just say the stakes are too high for good people not to be engaged. If anything, because of the challenges we're facing, we need more people to step up and say, yeah, maybe I'll have to go through some unpleasantness, but the importance of moving our society forward in an inclusive and caring way is more important than a temporary discomfort. And I know that's easy for me to say, right? Because I've been doing it for a long time, and and so far, successfully. But I just think I guess I'm still too much a kid of the late 60s and early 70s, where we just were so convinced that we needed to change the world, right? The Vietnam War, the Civil Rights Movement, all the other movements.
Yeah.
And we said we can't. I mean, I was sitting there on Long Island in front of the TV watching all these young men a little older than me, dying and being sent back home from a war that people didn't want to support. I said, this is not right. We've got to do things different. And so it's not always been a pleasant experience, and certainly been a bump here. And I haven't won as many elections as Governor Patterson. I've had my losses, but it's still very important, especially now with what the country is facing. We've got to do a lot better, and so maybe with a little bit of discomfort and maybe sacrificing other more fun things to do. Elias and others need to step forward, and the system needs to be over. That's why you can't close the tent, even if you don't like some of the people that want to come in, because as much as you're getting in some of the the stuff or the folks you don't want to have there, hopefully you get more of the folks that you do want to have there.
I've been playing the fallen angels advocate today. I don't want to say devil, but is it just that politics have become under public scrutiny, that's relentless, the polarization, that's taking place? It's also, guys, expensive. When you see the amount of money that's being spent on these campaigns, how does, an average highly qualified person, think about the numbers and the kind of money?
Yeah, I mean, look at the race for Jerry Nadler. What is it? I mean, God, what was like $40 million? Maybe that's even a lowball number. What was spent between the candidates and the independent expenditures? I mean, it's incredible. But at least on the state side, we do have the public financing where, like for my race, for the statewide race, donations up to $250 are matched 6-1. That does make it a bit easier. I've supported public financing because I do think it provides an opportunity for people who are not wealthy. I know certainly for me, I mean, my opponents were multimillionaires. I wasn't. So, for me, the matching funds was helpful. The limits are a lot lower in terms of what you can raise. So you can't just depend on the big donors. But, there is that corrosive, if I could use that word, influence of those independent expenditures and the dark money, quote unquote, where very different limits. You don't always know who's behind, some of that. And look, the use of social media, which doesn't necessarily cost a lot of money, but can do so much damage on reputation, on framing a dialogue. And people can say whatever they want and post a video, and people read something online or they see a video and they believe it, no matter what's 100%. Said.
I think it needs repetition so many times. At the end of the day, you have to look in the mirror and like what you see, like whom you see.
Yeah.
You held on to your principles. You were prepared to lose. And one of the problems I find is there are candidates who winning is the only thing. They're not prepared to lose. And to get to that victory finish line, they will stomp on another person. They'll say the ugliest thing. They'll call a person names in the name of winning a race.
Which means you can start out with the right motives, the right attitude, but does the system then change you in order to keep up with it? Governor Patterson?
Well, I think this has just been a lesson for all of us in the last week, really trying to absorb what happened on primary day. And I think the challenge for us now is to find something that is workable and sensible and achievable that will replace some of the really bad conduct that went on during some of these campaigns.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I won't even talk about the fact that politics becomes a permanent campaign because you're really off the clock. Social media is 24 hours, a 24-hour news cycle, podcast, fundraising. It can wear you out where you begin to resent and ask yourself, is this the best use of my life, gentlemen?
Yeah. Well, Rev, that's why the governor and I are going into ministry. We're changing our direction, just so you know.
And the Rev is going into politics. I'll stay where I am. Wow. And Rev, you were in politics a little bit. I think you dabbled a bit. You were thinking of running for public office at one point, no?
January 5th, 2013, someone in the Republican Party leaked out an article to the Daily News that I was going to run for mayor. And it created quite a frenzy. It was interesting. We were in talks, but, I wasn't thinking about that. But all of a sudden, it exploded, and for the next 4 months, I was doing tours and television.
Well, I assured the Rev that I wouldn't run against him. Because I didn't want to destroy his political ambitions.
That's after I got a call from all the other candidates. Are you serious? Is this true? Are you running?
but I have to tell you, being surrounded by the two of you and the Rev, I still have faith in the future because I see people who are committed to principles, not just popularity. It's good to be popular, but if you're not principled, then what good is the popularity? Because you can't live with yourself if you don't have a conscience. So I just want to, you're role models, but we need more.
We got to end on a good note, though, because there are people who are listening and they're thinking about taking up the responsibility of running for political office. It is a noble, noble thing to do. Don't be discouraged by the challenge. In fact, somebody out there listening to us can make a difference with one decision and commitment to that decision. So,
thank you,
gentlemen.
Thank you both. And
thank you.
And Tom, I got the governor and AR to sign the affidavit granting me their unclaimed funds. So
I'm going to have to check
I'll be able to retire right after the program. I'm done.
Right after the program. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for your inspiration.
Amen.
Yeah,
thank you,
gentlemen. And thank you, our listeners, for joining us on this Sunday morning, right here on Red Apple Radio Networks with the Rev
and the Rabbi.
Spotify, it's Jay Shetty. Are you one of those media strategy people? Scrolling through spreadsheets, searching for an audience that pays twice as much attention to your ads than they do on social? Let me introduce you to Fans. And they're here with me on Spotify. Trust me, I know Fans. They don't skip, they stay for hours. They don't move on, they manifest. They're not a demographic group, they're fans.
Spotify advertising. You're among fans.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.